Link building is one of the most important aspects of SEO, and in this video I'm going to show you 13 link building techniques that you can use today to build strong backlinks to your website. Now before we get started, each of the techniques that I'm going to share with you today, I will be uploading separate videos on a step-by-step guide of how to do them correctly. The first link building technique that I always use is HARO, which is Help a Reporter Out. This platform is free for you to sign up, and there are plenty of journalists from a bunch of highly authoritative publications who are looking for sources when they're writing their content. And they do this every single day. You can filter exactly what types of emails you want to receive, and then you can have a scan through all of them and decide which ones you would like to contribute to. It's really simple, and all you have to do is click on the query number that you want to respond to, and you'll just begin writing an email to that straight away with your responses. Now, actually getting your submission accepted by HARO reporters can be quite tricky, but don't worry, I'll be releasing a complete video tutorial of how I get backlinks from HARO step by step. The second tactic is niche specific directories, and directories are shunned by a lot of people for some reason, but the directories that actually can help your SEO and getting links to them are the ones that are niche specific and are relevant to your industry. Now, what I mean by this is you don't want to be put on directories that are generic and random and cover a wide range of industries, because the links that you're getting to them have to be relevant to what your business or what your website is about. There are some directories that are pretty generic but are really useful, such as Yelp and Yell.com, but there are also others that are specific to your niche, which you can go ahead and get your business and your website submitted. The way to do this really is just to be Googling your niche and then directories and see the results that come up, and you'll find ways to get your website on there. The third tactic is guest posts. And everyone always hears about guest posts. It's one of the most popular ways to try and get backlinks, but guest posts are still really powerful if you approach it the right way. So the main thing with guest posts is that you approach a webmaster and you tell them that you want to make a submission, you want to write an article for their website. Now, it can be tricky because a lot of times you'll get websites that either don't respond to you or they ask you to pay ridiculous amounts of money, but there are still websites that you can submit articles to. There are websites that actively look for contributors. So if you want to do that, you can search up your niche or anything related to what you want to write about, and then just put in contribution or contribute or guest post in the URL. Obviously, you need to do your due diligence to make sure that these websites aren't spammy and will be a good fit for you and your website to get a backlink to. But that's guest posting in a nutshell. The fourth technique is broken link building. And the reason why broken link building is so valuable is because it's not good for websites to be linking to 404s on their web pages. Now, the way to approach broken link building is to be able to go to a webmaster and identify that there is a problem with their page and say that they're linking to something that isn't there, that can't be found. And this is especially useful if you've already got a substitute piece of content that would easily be able to be inserted in place of the broken link, and that way you'll be able to get a good relevant backlink without spending too much effort. The fifth technique is infographics and videos. People love watching videos and people love reading and looking at infographics. Now, what you can do is use free tools such as Canva or Photoshop, which is a paid tool, to create some visuals, to create infographics, or create videos like I'm doing, and then you can reach out to people asking them to either embed them or send a link back if they are relevant and useful for that particular topic. The sixth technique is about building up a professional network. Now, this is something that I've been doing a lot over the past 2 years, and I can tell you that from my experience, building a professional network is so valuable because you can start making connections with some amazing people in your industry, and also people who do work for or are affiliated with very large authoritative publications, websites, and companies in your niche. And this can be a great way to build up connections and potentially even get relevant links to your pages if you're able to kind of share the value that you're bringing to them. But but these will actually link in very well to technique 7 and 8, which I'll go through right now. The 7th technique is expert roundups, and expert roundups are basically when a website will post a piece of content that lists a bunch of different people or experts in a certain industry talking about a specific topic, and then they will be credited with a backlink to their websites. And expert roundups are great if you're featured in them, but they're a bit of a hassle to make, so I would always opt for the former, which is actually being involved in expert roundups. And I mentioned before about the professional networks that can help you be featured in these expert roundups. And what you can do is find on Google expert roundups about different topics in your niche, and then be able to reach out to the webmasters and say, hey, I'm also an expert in this. I've got a lot of value that I can add. Please let me know if you are accepting any new submissions or when you're hosting expert roundups in the future. So expert roundups are incredible ways to get backlinks, because as long as you're adding value and it doesn't take too long to be able to submit something, then you will be credited with the backlink. Technique number 8 is webinars and podcasts. And webinars and podcasts are incredible ways for you to become more connected with your industry and get your name out there, improve your personal brand, but also be able to build backlinks. And I've been involved in quite a few webinars and podcasts in the last couple of years, and they've been great in order to improve my visibility and improve my personal brand. So linking back to the professional network that we mentioned in Technique 6, you can actually go and reach out to people in your network and ask them if they're companies or if they're websites, if they're doing podcasts or webinars that you could be affiliated with, that you can participate in, and eventually you can get some really nice links from there, but it can also lead to some new business as well. So podcasts and webinars are incredible ways for you to get backlinks. Technique number 9 is reciprocal link building. Now what that means is, it means you're giving something away to someone for them to give you something back. In this case, it would be a link that they're giving back to you. But there are so many different types of reciprocal link building that you can be offering somebody a free product of yours in order for them to create a review and give you a link to your website. Or it can be anything pretty much. It can even be monetary, which can be considered a black hat technique. But generally speaking, reciprocal link building means that you are giving somebody X and they are giving you Y in return. And this can even work if you're giving people advice and if you're giving them value. Like in my experience, I've given some friends of mine really useful advice and they rewarded me by giving me a link, and their websites were incredibly powerful. And that's one way that I've used reciprocal link building in order to get some great backlinks to my website. Technique number 10 is PR, public relations. And PR can work really well because a lot of press, publications, and news websites are incredibly authoritative, meaning that your website can be benefited greatly by having these links from PR. And one way you could do this is if, for example, your business during the pandemic is giving away tens of thousands of important products to key workers, for instance, you can then reach out to news outlets and say to them, hey, my company has been doing X, Y, and Z. We'd love for you to write a story about this and link to our website as well. So that's a way that you can use PR in order to get links. Obviously, not everyone can do PR because not everyone has the resources and capabilities to do such a thing, but PR is still a great way to get strong backlinks if you have these resources and capabilities, of course. Technique number 11 is about resource link building. Now, the resource can be absolutely anything as long as you're showing a webmaster that you can add value to their existing piece of content. Now, what I mean here is, let's say, for example, you've got a website about keto and about fitness and dieting, for instance, and you've got a resource which is, let's say, a keto calculator, and you go on websites that show guides to having a keto diet, etc., and you realize that they don't have a keto calculator in their posts. So you're taking that resource and you're adding it to their content. So you're reaching out to them and saying, hey, I read your guide about this keto fitness guide, whatever, and I noticed that you don't have a keto calculator. which is unfortunate because it would be really useful for people to know X, Y, and Z. And then you can say that you've actually got one already, and then you send them the link to it, and then you say it would be great if you could add this within your post and within your guide. And you'll often find that the more valuable something is, the more valuable the resources that you have to offer, you'll be getting the resource added to that piece of content more often than not. Technique number 12 is resource page link building. Now, what this is about is having resource pages which are filled with different links that go to specific resources, and then you're pretty much asking the webmasters saying, hey, I've got this resource, I can add value through this way, it would be great if you can add me to this resource page. And resource pages take fairly little effort to actually implement them on, because it's just a page with a bunch of links. You see them a lot of times in places like university websites or things like that have these resource pages that link out to a bunch of different places. But it's always worth, if you have something valuable that you feel should be added in it, you can definitely go ahead and ask the webmasters to do so. The last technique, which is technique 13, is about outdated content. And there is so much outdated content on the web, you wouldn't believe it. So that's why you need to find ways in which the content that you have on your website is able to be used as an update to previous outdated content that other webmasters have linked to. The easiest way to do this is if you have a guide, for instance. Check out on Google people who have written guides or have linked to guides about them in 2019, which is outdated because we're in 2020. And then you can use that to leverage why your guide is more up to date and will be more beneficial to link to. Outdated content link building is really, really important because people don't want to have outdated content on their sites, and the freshness of content is important for webmasters. So making sure that you can convince these webmasters that you have an updated piece of content that covers everything in much more detail and is more relevant to the present. So those have been 13 link building techniques that you can use right now in order to get strong backlinks to your website. I've been Itamar Blauer, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like rating below. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Hey, you've reached the end of this video, but don't worry, there's plenty more great content that you can watch right now. All you have to do is click one of the 2 video links on the left side of the screen. And also, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to never miss out on future uploads.